Let's go to Nuggets Timberwolves, which I'm going to stop you repeatedly. Read this question verbatim, because I don't know who wrote it. I have a feeling who wrote it, but I have some questions about the writing of this question that is you're either going to have to answer for, or the production room's going to have to answer for. But we can go ahead and do it.
I said something about that this morning. That's so hilarious. All right. So the Nuggets tied up the series 2-2 on the road after you dug their grave last week. Who could have guessed you would have ended up being wrong about Jokic?
All right, stop. All right, stop. Hold on. Before I get to it, I'll open it up to the production room, probably Daniel, who wrote this. What was I wrong about? I just want to know. Just tell me. We're all here together. I'm on TV. I'm on the pod. Tell me. I'm very curious. I want to own up for my mistakes. What thus far in this series have I been wrong about? Anyone? I want to know. Maybe I blacked it out.
I think where Daniel's going with it is probably you were knocking him out of that conversation of like all-time greats.
You forgot all about all of Jokic's greatness. 2 games was all it took to forget about it.
Okay, so again, and this is why, and I know that it's very busy in that production room and there's a lot going on, but it is very important to listen to the things that are said on the show, particularly if you're then going to ask about them afterwards. After 2 games, I laid out very clearly what was on the line for Jokic. After 2 games, I laid out very clearly that if he were to be swept, there would the full list of the last 40 years, MVPs to be swept, would be Magic Johnson in the finals when he got hurt, Jokic 2 years ago, Jokic this year. That would not be great. I laid out the fact that he is already of the guys who, the season they won MVP, that is, the shortest playoff runs. 2 of the 7 shortest are already Jokic's, including the shortest. Just making it 5 games into the playoffs. He was potentially going to be 3 of the 8 shortest. I laid all those things out as what was on the line and why it was so important that he and the Nuggets respond in those 2 games in Minnesota. I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm very, very judicious with my words. I don't think I ever said the Nuggets are finished. They got no shot. I don't think I ever said.
Or your delivery, it's as if it was like done data. I think there was a lot of
Well, it was there were. Here is the thing that I think some, let me call it, younger NBA fans don't yet fully understand, but will as they watch more playoff runs. The playoff games inform our opinions of these players in a significant way. And how strong your title defense is informs our opinion of that team historically, those players, and the previous title. All of it matters. And now, did I see some people going too far, throwing out the Nuggets haven't beaten a 50-win team thing? I saw that on social media. I didn't engage in that because I think last year's Nuggets team was an exceptional team. And even if the Celtics hadn't, fallen apart against Miami, they would have then beaten the Celtics in the finals, and they would have beaten a 50-win team. I didn't write anybody off. I did, however, have the weird standard of my defending champion, best player alive, 3-time MVP. If he gets rocked in round 2 by a 22-year-old, it goes on the ledger. Now, this is the reason the postseason is so great, and this is the reason why these games matter more than 30-game samples of the regular season. Because the truly great players then respond. And that's what Game 4 was. Game 3, it would have been legitimately shocking if the Nuggets had rolled over in game 3. You have a natural inclination where Minnesota is going to relax. Denver is playing for its whole life. They also get a lifeline because Murray's not suspended. Denver's supposed to win game 3. But then there's game 4, where both teams are somewhat equally desperate, where Anthony Edwards answered the bell. And Jamal Murray was fine, but not great. MPJ was not great. I know Aaron Gordon couldn't miss. But the reason the Nuggets won game 4 was because Nikola Jokic said, we're not effing losing. And that is the type of performance that a great player has. That is the type of performance that you need to see if you are going to evaluate basketball players the way they've always been evaluated, rather than be like, hey guys, look at this VORP, by being like, hey, back against the wall, uncomfortable circumstances, knowing they're gonna come for you if you don't respond, says, you know what? I don't really like shooting the ball 25 times, but I'm gonna do it because it's what today calls for. That was great. And because of that game 4 performance, and because now this series is going at least 6, Jokic fairly inoculated himself from any super harsh criticism if they do lose this series, because he made it a fight. But after 2 games, that harsh criticism not only would have been in bounds, would have been part and parcel with how we've done things. I'll give you another for instance. Giannis, in his title defense, in round 2, what did he do? He lost that series. But game 6, round 2, Giannis, after being excellent that entire series, by the way, Giannis had a 44, 20, and 6. Now, they lost anyway. But Giannis doesn't get dinged for that series because he was excellent, he kept him alive, he put up a fight. Now, he gets dinged for the next 2 years going out in round 1, or, I mean, this year he missed the playoffs because he's hurt, but and last year he was hurt a little bit too, but he gets dinged. That's how it works. And so, going into this series, I did something I've never done on TV. I refused to make a pick. I let the audience decide which way I was leaning. But Wilds was all in on the Nuggets. Brew was all in on the Timberwolves. I felt this was a coin flip series. Right now, I still feel it's a coin flip series. And I am really intrigued by how Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert respond tonight. Because now, that pressure flips. Where if you're Rudy Gobert and the only knock on you forever has been your postseason performance, right? And all of a sudden, it looks like the team you're on could win the championship. But if they end up losing in 6, and the last game the Timberwolves won all year was a game he wasn't at, and where they looked better than they've ever looked, those questions are coming back in full force. And Karl Anthony Towns, who people have said, you know, how much of a winner, good stats, bad team guy is he? He needs to respond in full force. So I'm super excited for tonight. I do think
try splitting them up, going 1-1, just having them in a starting and then bench in the second 5.
You say that, but the thing is this. That's, to me, a little reactionary. This was the number 1 defense in all of basketball. They looked great in game 1 playing together. And they have too many resources associated with those guys in order, in my opinion, to do that.
Not play them. Right.
Yeah, right. And if you do them, if you stagger them, you're not going to be able to play them enough minutes. But what they need is Karl Anthony Towns to be better. That's what they need. I do think the Timberwolves win tonight. So now, but let's keep going because there are more questions I have about the questions. So go ahead.
So yeah, Minnesota obviously has to go to Denver and win on the night that Jokic gets his MVP trophy. So when pedigree is the number one thing that you care about, why did it not matter in this series?
So what does that even mean? I saw this question. I don't even know what the question means.
Well,
Go ahead.
I think it's like they got those championship bred players. They're coming off of the NBA title, and they end up playing some kids that have never gotten close to that. And you were just like, oh, they got, the Nuggets are in trouble. Instead of being like, oh, Denver has the pedigree and like they'll take over and win.
Okay, yeah, but so then again, this is where I think people are assigning me opinions that I did not assign myself. Going into the
I didn't write the
series,
rundown. That might not have been what was meant, but I felt
So I think you probably read it correctly. If again, any team in league history that loses its first 2 games at home, the second one getting run out of the gym when the other team's 4-time defensive player of the year is not there, there would be real questions about, real concerns about. Now, the reason I did not write the Nuggets off was exactly because of that pedigree. Because you can't say they're dead. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.